Uh, One interesting thing and this again, Mark told me about, it was amazing. It really helped protect our products. Mark, explain the design patent, which is different than what they do in the US.
Uh, yeah, in China, designs are protected as one of the categories for patents. So basically, you have to file the design patent before you can get protected. And once you file it, you can use it and attack others as a patent infringement claim.
Hmm.
So basically, for example, whatever device, or for example, the medical device, for the medical device, if it has some shapes or patterns which are on the appearance of the devices, and you want to get it protected, usually you do not file trademarks because these are not as distinctive as the logos or the names itself. But these appearance are something also important. It's the design language, or it shows who is who. And that's something that you can file for the design patent. And that works a lot. And you can even use it, with the Chinese customs before, the OEM manufacturers can, export these products with registered design art. The customer officials can help to inspect these infringing products and seize them so that they can be prohibited from outporting out of China.
Hmm.
Oh, interesting
Mark was,
strategy.
let me
So,
finish one thing. Mark was instrumental in setting up a program with the Chinese customs. And when the Chinese customs people met with the US customs people, they said, listen, if you want a program that works, follow this program. And it was Mark's program they were pointing out.
oh, interesting stuff. So, Mark, on the design patent, is a design patent in China? Is it a different process as opposed to utility? Is it easier to get, more expensive? I mean, it sounds like it could be a good strategic move for a company. So, how does a design patent sit relative to a utility patent as far as what's required to get it done?
Definitely easier, but by utility patent, I have to say that in China, actually, there are three types of patents: the invention patent, the utility model patent, and the design patent. So the Chinese invention patent equals to the utility patent in the US.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and the
So the
utility model patent, the category number one utility model patent, they are more categorized as the small inventions. So they are not that substantial creations. They are more like the structures and something about the shapes, etc. And
okay.
the design patent is purely about the design.
And you can, with a design package, with this design patent, you can do packaging also.
Exactly. You
So if
can
you
do the
have a certain package,
patenting. You can protect the outer appearance, the design, and as long as these designs are feasible for the productions.
mhm.
Oh, interesting strategy. Well, that's something then that a number of IP owners should give serious consideration, businesses to, is understanding. I mean, when in speaking with a lot of uh, clients, potential clients, we talk about patents, and in many cases, they don't necessarily have a thought out strategy route for patents. It's one of these things where, okay, we've invented this, let's just go get a patent. And then they move on to China and say, let's get a utility patent and things like that. So it's not really thought out. And from what we're discussing here, it sounds like looking at the different types or levels of patents in China would be worth considering, because there could be a way of strategizing a better, I guess, patent configuration to help, protect the rights in China, as opposed to just going straight ahead with utility and not really giving a second thought to other ways that might be more effective in China. So
Exactly. Always give a second thought before you go ahead with registration, especially for some U.S. companies that are not that familiar with the Chinese market. What we usually say is that they just ask their U.S. Lawyer
right.
to file the counterpart patent in China, and they wouldn't discuss too much about what types and what's the strategy.
Very important. Yeah. And I've talked about that a lot. So this is good stuff. For those viewing, they really need to understand it's more than just taking what you created in the US and going to China with it and registering it. There's more that can be done. So, and bringing this full circle, we've been talking about, the legal side, the import, export, and obviously the licensing side. So I think, one of the things that we'd like to, I guess, reiterate with folks is that, when you're looking at China, you really need that expertise help. And it's more than just going out, finding your own, supplier or manufacturer. It really does pay to invest and retain folks such as Bob and Mark to help you do that, not only on the product development side and the manufacturing, but also on what's required to get it out of China into the US or vice versa. So I think that, this is an opportunity for anyone watching to really explore, the professional expertise of between the three of us. And, we'll have our contact information there so you can reach out and really find out, ask a few questions and see, what some of the benefits, some of the big benefits would be in looking at making that investment in the services to help, manage the process properly, get it done correctly, and avoid, as you said, Mark, the really expensive part of having to come back around to try to fix everything. And it, I can relate just a little bit of a story. And I'm going to have companies approach me or IP owners approach me, and they've already got into some litigation problems. And they're saying, we want to look at licensing now. At that stage, I can't help them because they're in the litigation stage, and it's something that has to get resolved by legal experts. And attempting to license an IP that's under this litigation process is very difficult, if not impossible. I mean, nobody wants to get involved in the litigation. It can spill over. So I think that kind of talks to this idea of making the investment up front with the proper professional expertise can help save a lot of headaches and down the road, especially when it comes to a huge and somewhat complex market such as China. So any closing comments on other thoughts folks should keep in mind when dealing with exporting in China or importing in China?
Well, first of all, China's a huge market, and every year it's getting more people with disposable income. I know you have a lot of customers with medical instruments. Well, China has this huge medical complex industry. Also, I think that working with someone like Mark gives you a inside experience of dealing with China, and he'll try to keep you out as many of the pitfalls as possible as you walk along the path.
And that goes the same for the exporting, importing side. I mean, especially outside the United States, it's not simply a matter, as you said, of booking a ship and getting a container put together and sticking it in the containers and away it goes. It's become somewhat more complex. And so there's a lot of nuances that I think, Bob, with your decades of experience and know-how in doing that, really speaks to making it worthwhile for somebody interested in that aspect of the business, whether it's into China or other markets around the world, to get that insight, because it can really help as well. I mean, it's not only getting in trouble on the IP and the registration side, but it can also be getting bogged down and not quite doing the right things to get it in or out of a country, and now getting stopped at the border, paying high tariff, whatever the case is. So I think it makes it, you know, I would encourage anybody and everybody watching this webinar, it's worth reaching out and having a short conversation with any of us to make sure that you can avoid some pitfalls that can really really run you into a brick wall and cost a lot more later on down the road.